Welcome to Dave's Digital Training, where we show you how it's done. One of the more powerful things in both Photoshop and Photo Elements are layers. And what I want to talk about is how to use the Layers palette and how to set up the palettes on your page in such a way that you don't have to have a whole lot of them out there. Now, right over here we can see that this is the Layers palette. It can be closed and opened with this. Now, I don't like using it over here because it just takes up too much screen space and it's stuck over here on the side. I like having it out here where I can move it around. To get it out, all you have to do is click on it and drag it onto the desktop. And now it's right out here. I can change the length of it by moving this up and down. I can move that in. I can pull it out this way. I can move it any place I want on the page. So this makes it a lot more usable for me than having it stuck over there. Now we really have a small capture area here, so we can't see what we're doing really well. But once I get rid of that, I can click right here and push that out of the way. And now I have a lot more screen space to work with. I can now rearrange my screen. There we go. Now, the other palette that I use a lot is Undo History. And we can get that up here under Windows. We can get any of these palettes we want. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to do Undo History. Now what this is showing us is all the histories, all the steps I've done in working on this image. Now if you want to have both of these palettes out, you can see that it covers up quite a bit of your screen. But there's a nice little trick. All you have to do is click on the tab of Undo History, drag it over here, and it will drop in there. Now we have both palettes in the same location, in the same window, and we can just click back and forth from whichever one that we want to use. Now I'm going to move this out here a bit so I can talk about it. We can add and subtract layers, and what makes this powerful is whatever is on a layer does not change the background layer. So if I click on this, we can see that that changes the picture back here. I can click here. That was to change it to black and white. Now I'm going to change it back to black and white again. You see, this is the original image down here. It isn't going to be affected in any way. This is my levels adjustment, so I'm going to click there. So that has been applied to this so that we can see what that looks like. I can turn this on. That is now applied to this, but it's only applied. It hasn't changed the original item. This is what's known as a non-destructive edit. Now, the Layers palette has lots of different pieces. This little turn corner piece of paper right here allows you to make a new blank layer. And if I click on it, you can see that we have a new blank layer. Okay? These are what are known as adjustment layers. These are things that you can put in where you can adjust how the bottom image looks by applying these on top. Now I'm just going to make a solid color one here. Bring this over here just so we can see. I can pick a color. I can go OK. And now we can see that we have a solid color covering our image. I can turn that on and I can turn it off. But I can also go on up here to opacity and I can change the opacity of it so it becomes transparent. I'll set it there and I can just turn that on and off now, and we can see the effect of that. You have to be on the layer. We can tell which layer is selected by it being blue here, and you can tell if a layer is on or off if you can see the eyeball. If I click on the eyeball, it comes on. If I click on it, it goes off. Now I'm going to change the opacity of this layer, set it about like that, and I can now go on over here where it says normal, and these are what are known as blending modes, and these change how the layer on top interacts with the layer underneath. So if I come here and go to multiply, we can see what a dramatic difference we get. Come down here and I can go to soft light, and it's going to be a totally different change. Come here and I'm going to go to colorize, and it changes it again. Now I can't tell you exactly how this is going to respond in every case. So what you have to do is you have to experiment. But basically, all of these ones in here will darken the relationship between the layers. Soft light and these will lighten it. And these will add color or saturation. They change the saturation and hue of the layers. But you have to experiment with it to actually see what it's going to do. Now I'm going to take it back up to none. Now, I don't want this layer anymore. I want to get rid of it. Well, I can click on it, and I click right here on this little trash can, and it'll go away. Yes, I want to delete the layer. Now, there's another way to access all of these. These are hard to see. Some people have a hard time with them. You can always click up here on the Layers palette, and here they are in larger, easier to see. And we can go through and do all the same things that we could do on the bottom and more. So we have the ability to access a lot of the layer features by using the Layer palette. Now there's another important spot here, and this is the More's palette, and this has more commands. You can flatten the images. In other words, you can flatten one layer into another layer. You can delete a layer. You can rename a layer. So you can do a lot of your layer functions from the More feature as well. So that's just a quick overview of how the Layers palette can work for you. Now, we could talk lots and lots and lots about this, but I just wanted to give you some of the basic overviews, so when I'm doing something and I say, well, I did this with the layers, you'll be able to jump into here if you can't remember it and see it. Now, the other palette here is the Undo palette. Now, the nice thing about the Undo palette is this is recorded every step that I've done through the process. So I can click here and go back to a step. Let's go back to before I cropped the image, and now we can see what the image looks like before it was cropped. But I can click back down. I can take it back to where it was cropped. I can take it back down here to where I added the color. Or I could click here and see what the original image looked like when I opened it. So you have the ability to go through and try different things to see how the image looks, or if you change your mind, you can revert back to a previous state in the image. History. These are the two palettes that I use most frequently, and this is why I like to have them always on the screen. And I can collapse this up like this to get this really small so it's not in the way. And I can move through them like that. I can put it off the edge. You can't see it now, but I can just move it right out of the way, or I can bring it back in. So this is just a little overview of some of the functions that can be done with your palettes, your layers, and your undo history. This is probably the most powerful set of tools to work with, I think, in Photo Elements and in Photoshop. This is Dave, and thanks for watching this presentation.